Okay, we're going to go live. And good morning to you. It is July 1st already. It's just mind-boggling and blowing that it's July 1st. And for those that have wished me a happy birthday, thank you. My birthday is actually July 2nd, but I think Facebook has it one day before, which is kind of good. You get it all in, right? And then on your birthday, it's kind of mellow. But let's get into the Word. We are in a great section of Scripture. We're in Revelation chapter 17, and we're talking just about the wonderful work of God to show us things that have already taken place or that will take place. So that's just a mind blower, and it's a beautiful thing. And hopefully, in your day today, you always remember just the awesomeness of God. That the Bible certainly is a unique book, and it's unique in that it doesn't just claim to be history or talk about things of God, but it really is a unique book in that it's prophetic, and it's so important for us, just to always remember how beautiful that it is to be able to study the prophetic aspect in this prophetic words of the Bible. And I hope that kind of just wells up in you, just how exciting it is, because you guys, those who have gone over this, who were here the other day, you guys already know kind of what the end's going to be, because you just read it the other day, right? It said the beast that you saw was and is not, in verse 8, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition, and those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not, and yet is. So we see that the beast is someone who was, is not, and yet is, and this is kind of a mimicking of Christ. If we looked at the beginning of the book of Revelation, which we did the other day, and we also see that what is in the beast was already on the planet, and then it is not currently, and yet is, and yet it is. So really cool statements. It says, "Here's the mind which is wisdom." So yesterday we kind of got into this, that the 7 heads are 7 mountains. Now I quoted from a commentary guy, or I didn't quote, but I just mentioned him, but I wanted to just read to you what he says. "A mountain, or a prominent elevation on the surface of the earth, is one of the common scriptural images or representations of a kingdom, regal dominion, empire, or established authority." So David, speaking on the kingship which he experienced in Israel, says, "Lord, by thy favor thou didst make my mountain to stand strong. Settled strength for my mountain," meaning his kingdom and dominion, Psalm 30, verse 7. So the Lord, in his threat against the throne and power of Babylon, said, "I am against thee, O destroying mountain, which destroyeth all the earth, and I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and will roll thee down from the rocks, and will make," turn the page, "make thee a burnt mountain," Jeremiah 51:25. So the kingdom of Messiah is likened to a stone which became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. So, and this is exactly the sense in which the angel uses the word here. So mountain being a kingdom, right? So I was checking out Isaiah too. I was looking up Isaiah 13. And again, let's just gaze at the majesty of the word, right? And hopefully your Devo this morning will be like, hey, no matter what's going on in the day, man, I have a book. We get to have a book that is just awesome. It's awesome in prophetic power. It speaks about things that are going to happen, and it happens. And man, we can rest in that. And so look at Isaiah 13. If another reference for you guys, just read this, the prophecy against Babylon. And it's great because when you study prophecy, remember there's always a present tense at the time of the writing. For us, it would be a historical sense, but in the time of the writing, a present tense fulfillment of some of these prophecies. And then there's always these future kind of projections that are within the prophetic scripture too. But we see in verse 4, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like that of many people, right? Mountains, many people. Tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts musters the army for battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven. The Lord has his weapons of indignation to destroy the whole land. Wow, right? So it talks about the punishing of Babylon, and you can read that chapter if you want to get more into that. But you get the idea. These mountains again represents kingdoms. So that's cool. Hey, happy birthday. Thanks everybody for saying happy birthday. I appreciate that. That's great. I am 35 years old now. So no, I'm just joking. I'm 48. That's how old I am now. So here is the mind which has wisdom. 7 heads are 7 mountains. Okay, so the beast we see has 7 heads, which are 7 empires, which the woman sits on, right? We saw that there are also 7 kings to the 7 empires. And we see that 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. Okay? So we see that it tells us right there, right? That we got John is in one of these, and when he's writing this, and so again, all you have to do is go through the empire. You know that he's in Rome during the time of Rome. So guess what's going to happen? Guess. It's amazing. So 1 has not yet come, so there's going to be an empire that conquers Israel, Jerusalem, after the time of Rome. So you just have to do some history work and find out what empire took that over. And then it says, and the other, and then when he comes, he must continue a short time. So, and then it says, the beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7. So the 7 is of the 8, and so we see that the last empire is going to be related to the one that was after Rome, and is going to perdition. He is of the 7 and going to perdition. So, and we see that going to perdition also in verse 8, right? The beast you saw and was and is not, will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. So you see a lot of links here that are really, if you just kind of put it all together, it makes a lot of sense. So there's going to be, John lives in the time of Rome. There'll be an empire after Rome that will come against Israel and conquer it. It will dissipate, and then it will come back, and the 8th will be the 7th. So there you go. That's it. And I'm not Mr. Bible prophecy guy. If you just kind of read this just as it is, and you just go to some other passages in the Bible that help out kind of with some of the interpretive challenges that are there, or seemingly there, then you kind of go, oh, this makes total sense. I got it. You know, there's the last empire is gonna kind of have all these other empires in it. And it's going to come from the empire that is after Rome, the 7th one, and then it tells us that in verse 12 that this beast also not only has these 7 heads that are 7 mountains, right, empires, which this woman, this false religious system, is a part of, right? That's the idea of Babylon, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abominations of all the earth, the idea of the false teachings, right? Well, it says that this beast that has these 7 heads also has 10 horns, which you saw are 10 kings. Okay, so there's not only 7 kings to the empires that make up the satanic empire, but there also are 10 horns, which you saw, which are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as of yet. So the 10 kings are coming at a future time. Okay, so they're not part of these empires that have been already, and the one that John is in, or during the time of the writing, and the one that was going to happen after Rome, and then obviously the last one, which would be the 8th, which is a part of the 7th. And so you see that the 7th is going to kind of go away, come back, right? And that's what we saw in Revelation chapter 13, right? That one of the heads receives a mortal head wound, right? And comes back. So it's like, whoa, what a trip. Now we get again, hopefully you guys are just going, whoa, this is really interesting stuff. And then in verse 12 it says, then 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as of yet. So there's 10 kings that are going to be future. So how does it make you feel, all this stuff about studying or just going into the book of Revelation? Does it make you excited, or does it make you kind of like scared, like, oh my gosh, this is gnarly? And I know, to be honest, there's a lot of that in us as human beings. There's a lot of excitement, but there's a lot of fear. There can be some fear there. There can be, I know when you have kids, even if they're older kids like ours, sometimes when you talk about the prophetic word, sometimes they can get a little nervous, a little scared, a little fearful. And because it's heavy, these topics are just giganto topics, big topics, that really hold a lot of weight, and so, I don't know how you feel about that, and how it makes you feel. Some people I know avoid the prophetic word because they just go, you know what, man, I kind of dig Jesus, and let's just talk about, this, or let's talk about that. But really, we're going to find out in the book of Revelation 2 that really everything's about Jesus. It is about Jesus, and Jesus has a purpose and a plan. And as we love Christ, we have to learn to love his plan and trust in him, during this future moment. We happen to live in a really interesting time. It seems like, from how I look at it, is we're in between that let's see, 7th empire and the 8th. We're kind of in the in-between moment. And so we're kind of on the brink, we're kind of close, we're getting there, right? You've already had 5 empires. John's in one. There's going to be one after John that's going to take over Israel. And then it'll go away, and then it'll come back. And so we're right there. And but Jesus said what? Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. Therefore I go and prepare a place for you, that where I am you may be also. And we have to always remember the comfort of the Lord as we study these amazing passages. So the 10 horns are 10 kings that are in the future. How do we know this? Because it says the 10 kings have not received a kingdom yet. Okay, so they haven't received a kingdom yet. There's 10 kings that are going to be in the future. They haven't received a kingdom yet, but they will receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. So you get the idea that for a short time, an hour, a short period of time, these kings will receive authority with the beast, this empire. and these are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. So the beast empire that surrounds Israel, at some point they will have 10 kings that will give their power to 10 rulers of these regions or areas, I'm not sure, that will give authority to the empire, the workings of the empire. They will come together, right? And they will give their power and authority to the beast, right? Remember, the beast is a kingdom. So whatever differences these 10 might have in life, in religious differences, right? They might now put those things aside as to now unite and collectively do something. And what are they going to do? Verse 14, these will make war with the Lamb. Whoa, they're going to fight. We just read a little bit about that in the book of Isaiah. These will make war with the Lamb. Who's the Lamb? Well, it's Jesus, right? And the Lamb will overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And maybe it's good for us just to reiterate that today, that Jesus is Lord of lords and King of kings. You know, Jesus is Lord of lords and kings, King of kings. And no matter how sketchy you might feel things get on our planet, we always can remember he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. Man, that's awesome. So there'll be people with the Lord, and they are called chosen and faithful. And that's so beautiful, because if you study the scriptures, we too, in 1 Timothy chapter 6:15, or if you look through some of these, I think 2 Timothy chapter 1, God has chosen us from the foundation of the world. Wow. You know, read the book of Romans, that we are chosen, called, right? And so it says, the Lord and those who are with him. Isn't that neat? That now that Jesus is going to have those who are with him. Who are those that are with him? Maybe it's you, right? You'll be with him, the church, his bride. Maybe that's who it's referring to. Maybe it's referring to those that are the 144,000. I'm not quite sure just on that one. But though you see, people will be with him. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw where the harlot sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So the cool thing about these sections of Revelation is it tells us what things mean, which is really nice, right? And I kind of like that. It kind of makes the Rubik's Cube a little simpler for simple people like myself. So the waters which you saw where the harlot sits, the false religious system, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues, cultures, right? Wow. So the harlot is influencing people, multitudes, nations, and tongues, permeating, right? Maybe even moving across all areas of the globe, right? You get that idea too, right? And it says, and the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot. Whoa, interesting, right? The 10 kings will hate the religious system and make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Interesting that the kings will hate the religious wealth, the religious riches of this Babylon harlot, the great, right? The mother of all distortions of God and his word and his ways. The 10 kings will see something in her that is maybe not something that's helping them, and so they go against the harlot and make her desolate, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So maybe we can talk about that a little more. It says, "For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind and to give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled." So it's interesting. It's like this empire and the kings that make it up, the conglomerate that comes together and gives their will over to the move of the empire to go against God and his people. They're gonna in a sense not mingle very well with the harlot and its system that rides this empire. So this false religious system. And so there is going to be strength in this empire, and there's going to be a weakness, a breaking down too. So you see that when you see that, like, I think of Jesus's words, "A house divided will not stand." That when things get divided, it tends to breed weakness. Unity always builds strength, right? And so we see that that's going to happen with this empire as well. There'll be strengths in it, and then there's going to be divisions within it too, and they will battle within themselves. So really interesting, right? So there's a lot for us to always think about, and we think about, wow, that's why I watch A Reason for Hope with Scott and Sean, because sometimes I'll get some really cool news from them, since I don't watch news, and I haven't for a long time. But it's neat to know what's maybe going on in the world, and that's why I love Pastor Scott and Sean and the show and stuff like that, because sometimes that can be a good source of news for you. But when you think of these prophetic scriptures, I hope that you just continue to bring yourself before the Lord, and let's present ourselves before the Lord as a living sacrifice, and just saying, "Hey, Lord, you have a plan, and it's going to happen, just as what you foretold did happen in the past. Jesus' coming was foretold. The way he would die would be foretold, and you have a future too that you've already laid out. So help us be prepared and love people, and again, have that mind of compassion, and really getting out, the gospel as we go about our day." So you guys have a great one. It was a really fun time going through Revelation 17, and take care. Okay, be safe, whatever that means, right? But in your neck of the woods, I know me and Sil always send our best. So you guys take care.